when the United States announces officially that it is integrating Ukraine into the NATO military command and that it refuses to consider any Russian security concerns. This is right before the invasion. It is telling Russia no negotiations, no diplomacy. Do your worst. That's what NATO and the United States were telling Russia and continue to tell Russia when the policy is weaken Russia, that's our goal. It's telling Russia no diplomacy, use whatever military force you want to. You mentioned the phrase, fight Russia to the last Ukrainian. Go back and look at the Afghan model that is being discussed. The book that I mentioned, which is the authoritative study, very detailed, careful study, uses the same phrase. It says, the United States was fighting Russia to the last Afghan. That was US policy. And notice that the official position is to be proud of it. As Brzezinski said, so there's a few agitated Muslims, who cares? We had to fight Russia to the last Afghan. That's the model that's being proposed, okay? Fight Russia to the last Ukrainian. You can perfectly.
Hi. Turn this down slowly. How very funny, Nasha. Of course, that was Noam Chomsky. Looking. I mean, he's looking his age, is what he's doing. He pretty much looks 90. I don't know. I think if he cut his hair, maybe, and just sort of tidied up a little bit, then he would probably look significantly better. But I also think he's probably beyond giving a fuck about any of that kind of stuff. And good for him. Well, I see some stuff going on in chat, so let me. And actually, I want to talk about this too, but we can start by 78th episode, Beyond the Double Red Doors. It's getting ever closer to the centennial mark. I can't wait for it. It was sort of a jump scare. Butterfly Composer, you have a tumor. Can you say more about that? It sucks, man. I just saw, like, this guy that I follow. He makes puppets. But I really like the videos he makes on puppets. And I hadn't seen a video of his in a little while. I went to check, and it was one of those videos, like, you go to his page and the video is, so I have some bad news, right? And I was like, oh, damn. And it turns out he has brain cancer, which only partially operable brain cancer. And it's so frightening, like perfectly healthy. One day has a seizure, and they find, a tumor the size of a lemon or something in his brain. I hope it's nothing like that, Butterfly Composer. Or do you want to steer into politics? I put that there for a specific reason, right? Which is I'm not gonna. I felt like I was on eggshells a lot last week. Like, I didn't want to say things because I didn't want to upset anybody, and then I ended up saying like one or two things instead of following through with my arguments. I'm not sure how that's comparing the democratic government of Ukraine to the Mujahideen, but the more specific point there is American policy in that specific instance. And the idea of, for instance, gerrymandering global thought and using these sort of insidious, difficult to track, difficult to j'accuse Because I mean, even like in capitalism, like corporations, where that's one of the wonderful benefits of corporations is all the protections they offer, right? And these aren't even corporations; these are geopolitical institutions, accountable to no one but themselves. Well, but then fuck all that. So how can you say where it is? That because that sucks. And obviously, disagreements about politics have no legs to stand on at all, like in the face of something like this. So that sucks. And also, I saw that Q. By the way, welcome back, Q. But I'm sorry about the circumstances. And you got COVID. Like how? Oh, yeah. Oh shit! At the funeral. Okay, I'm seeing it now. Trying to keep up with the chat. It's not easy. That's another thing I wanted to like talk about. Like especially if I get into. So the way that I see it, like what I am trying to do every week is talk about something for a couple of hours, or just like talk for a couple of hours. And when this first started, there was no lack of subjects. There was no lack of things that like I could just like yammer on about forever. But every well runs dry at some point, and I don't want to be sort of self-cannibalizing. And just, I mean, I know I repeat a lot of the same stuff over and over again, but what I don't want to do, and I've even said this before, I don't want to be constantly talking about stuff that requires precedent or requires past knowledge of like what happened 2 months ago, what we were talking about 2 months ago, in order for there to be any sort of engagement at all. Like I'd rather continue to forge forward, right? And so that isn't always easy. Obviously, like some weeks it happens more effortlessly than others. And so when it does happen, like when like those moments occur where I feel like, oh, my brain is working for once, right? Like it's sort of jumping from A to B to C. I'm gonna let it do that, and I'm just gonna keep talking, and then that means like I won't necessarily see chat, or if I do see chat, like I see keywords, right? Like I'm sure everybody has adopted some form of like speed reading that they do, but you don't read every word. And if I'm on about a particular thing, if I'm talking about Ukraine and I'm quick scan the chat and I see the word Ukraine, that's all I see, right? So there was apparently last week there was some chat going on that I wasn't aware of, didn't know was there, had no idea. Some people tried to call my attention to it, and I didn't see that either, because I want to say in the zone, but I wasn't even in the zone. It was more like, I guess, whatever. I'm going to say I was in the zone. And then that sort of brings me to we're going through it. And then, so that sort of brings me to like the sort of like what the responsibilities are, right, when it comes to that sort of thing, right? Like so, I mean, it was Mouse Bear Kitty, and this person was talking in chat, so there's not like a breach of privacy here in me saying their name. And it's still in the chat that you can go back and look at. And there was some suicidal ideation going on there, a trigger warning, I guess too late. And I have no way to reach out to that person, right? They're not in the Discord that I could find, and they're not, They have a channel, but I can't, there's a couple videos on it. I can't reach out to them that way. So I don't really know what to do in that situation, to be honest with you. If I don't catch it in the moment, right? Like that's really all I could do is like catch it in the moment. And I didn't catch it in the moment. What's going on here? Hey, Romachek. What is Libs of TikTok? I don't know what that is. Obviously I know Matt Walsh. But I'm not sure who Libs of TikTok are. Well, see, I went back and looked, and it didn't look like it carried on very long. And then that person was talking about other stuff. Maybe it came back to it, and I think I stopped, where I saw it, and then where it ended. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's where it ended. But if it came back, then maybe it came back on again. I have Dreamworld Coke. So, so that's keeping things light, isn't it? And the thing is, so I wanted to talk more about politics, but maybe tonight's not the night. Thank you. I'm gonna go full faux hawk, I think, at some point. Very artistic. Well, thanks for that. But anyway, I'm not okay. Good. Let's see. Oh, see, I have no clue what's going on. Yeah, this is an area of the internet. I just have absolutely no insight into whatsoever. I'm gonna open like my real Coke first, because I need it. So let me do this. Not over the keyboard. So I have a real one, but more excitingly, I have a fake one, which looks like there was a printing issue. This is actually the way it's supposed to look, but it actually looks like, when you run out of magenta in your inkjet printer, and this is what comes out. A whole lot of cyan. I mean, it makes it difficult to read. It's like a box here that says creations. I don't know, you can't read that. So Dreamworld limited edition. I know nothing about this. Interesting that the nutrition label is the exact same red as the original Coke. Okay, so I don't know what this is supposed to taste like. I don't know what the idea is behind it. It tastes like dreams. It's dream flavored. This is a whim. I didn't even realize this thing existed, really. So let's see. I'm going to do it. Okay, so no. It has like a really obvious, distinct, fake fruit smell. What fruit is that? Raspberry? Okay. It tastes like Kool-Aid, like carbonated Kool-Aid. It's actually, well, it's not bad. It's fucking better than space flavored. That's for damn sure. That's actually not bad. I will drink this. Not tonight. But some other time that y'all don't know about. I promise. I was trying to unload that space. I got a 12-pack of that space flavored Coke. I was trying to unload that on everybody. If you came over during that month, I offered you space flavored Coke. And if you said no, I was like, you really should try it. It's really something. It's really interesting. There's something interesting about it. Q, I disagree. I get, I don't know. It wasn't bad. I guess, it was bad. I'm not going to drink it. Like, that's the level of bad, right? Like, I didn't drink it. That I will drink. I still prefer the OG, obviously. I've gotten rid of most of it by now. It's been a while. So anyway, that's the space flavored Coke. So yeah, when a situation like that happens, I'm not even really clear, like what, going back to the ideation stuff, not clear what my responsibility is. Apart from, directing them to a resource, which it seemed like people were doing. But then rubbed me the wrong way when I saw that, like, someone said that I ignored it. Ignoring is active. Ignoring is active. I would have had to have seen it and chosen not to say anything, and that did not happen. So that was kind of upsetting for me to see. But not as upsetting as whatever this person was going through, obviously. I don't know. Type in all caps. Like, if you want to get my attention about something, maybe you can type in all caps. That might help. But if everybody's typing in all caps, then don't know what to do. Get back into the exact same situation. I do have a surprise. I mean, it's sort of a surprise. I guess it's a surprise. Kind of. But see, here's the thing, Butterfly Composers. I do read the chat. It's just I only do it sometimes. Yes, this is exactly. Well, here's the thing. Like, you write, like, that's one of the words that will stand out to me. That's one of the keywords that will stand out to me. Especially given that, I guess since you said it, I wasn't going to do this, but since Butterfly Composer said it.
Being irritable about. But I thought what I would do today as an experiment is to attempt to read this in the most calm and understanding manner that I can, despite its rather pointed message. And so I'm trying to get the tone right, and I'm paying attention to the feedback I'm getting.
There's a spoiler. He does not get it right. It's so bizarre. Like, watching his new videos is so bizarre. The way, like, if I were a movie director and he were my villain, which is everyone is kind of saying, like, he's kind of like a supervillain, I would be like, you're overdoing it a little bit. Like, pull back. Less is more, Jordan. And he has, like, a couple things that he does. Like, he does this all the time, and then he'll, like, lean forward to make a particular point. And he'll take these really long pauses. And yeah, obviously, like, and it was an article, but he's almost always obviously reading, like, because of the very strange pauses that he'll take. It's pretty clear that he's using some kind of teleprompter, which is fine. Not a problem with that. Unless you act like you're speaking extemporaneously and you're not. Which he kind of does. I also found it weird, like, when, well, I don't want to dive too much into this. Like, I have this.
Being irritable about.
I got this whole
but
video
I thought
here.
what I would do today as an experiment is to them. There are lies, damned lies, statistics, and computer models.
So you know what he's doing in this video?
Does not
I mean, he's
data.
made the point before, and I find it hilarious because it's the point that he makes, and he has made a few times. It's his it's his climate change does not exist point, and he'll be like, well, Deloitte is this huge corporation providing these climate models. First of all, Deloitte is one provider of one set of climate models. There are tons of set of climate models. There have been climate models in production since before I was born. It's not a new thing. Right? But he acts like, well, Deloitte is like, we're all going off. We're all, we're all hinging on what Deloitte says. So if Deloitte is saying that we're experiencing global man-made climate change, and they're the only ones doing it, and so we're putting all our eggs in the Deloitte basket. But he says a few things that are like really funny to me. One of the things that he says is that, like, right there when he pulls that Mark Twain quote, right, that there are lies, damn lies, statistics, and computer models, right? And then he says, computer models aren't even data. Yeah, you're right, they're not data. They're so much better than data. Like, we are legitimately afraid of computer models because of how accurate they are. And then he goes on to say that, like, if computer models were any good, then Deloitte would use them in order to predict all stock prices, and they would own everything, and they would just be masters of the universe, and they would own the world, and there would be they would essentially be kings, right, like, or emperors, right? Which is wrong, right? Like, the notion is wrong, and he goes then to follow on that notion with saying that how could we possibly predict something as complex as climate change if we can't even predict, like, whether a stock is going to go up and down? Climate change is so much more complex, and there's so much more going on over so much more time. He's literally saying things that make models, like, things that are essential in order to create like models that can accurately predict. You need to be able to see lots of change. You need lots of points of data, and you need lots of time. The more time you have, the better, not the worse, right? Like, so, and there are things where it's like when they say weather, right? You don't know what weather is. Like, the weather is how hot it is today. The climate is warming trends over the next 20 years. And he will sort of take that 20 years and say that, how can we predict 20 years from now? It's easier to predict 20 years from now based on climate models than it is to predict tomorrow. Much easier. That's literally the way that they work. And he's calling it out he's actually calling out one of the strengths of this kind of predictive modeling and historical modeling as a weakness, which I don't even know, like, when you're at that level of just kind of creating facts out of thin air, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to respond to that, except to just be like, that was me doing like a exasperated sigh at faulty logic, not an exasperated sigh at my phone going off. But good reminder that my phone was on. The other thing is, he had a lavalier mic that was way too low on his tie, okay, or on his lapel. It should be about here. Now, I understand, like, people may think that, like, well, if it gets too close, then you're being blocked by your chin. But it should be about here. His was like down about here. So whenever he leans forward to make his point, his posture is changing such that he's now, like, his mouth is way out in front of his lavalier mic, and the sound changes. You notice a drop in sound quality. It's quite precipitous, which, considering the amount of, like, effort he seems to put into those videos, it seems like a pretty big, like, why doesn't he have a boom guy? A boom person? Why doesn't he have a boom person? Give him a boom person. I don't know. I mean, I've thought about this so much. Like, why can't I just ignore him? This is true. But if you're going to use a I understand. If you're going to use a lavalier mic, and your reason for doing it is, hey, I move around a lot. He doesn't. He has 3 positions. Literally has 3 positions. It's sitting back like this, standard, and then arms on his knees, and that's when he's really telling you what to do. That's when he's really giving you the truth. But I don't know why I can't stop thinking about him. In 3 minutes, at 8 p.m., a new video will drop on the Phoenician Sailor channel. And why don't I give you a quick preview of it right now? That is me and ASMR Creations doing a collab based on the movie Buffalo 66. What are you doing?
Reading the Bible.
Now you'll notice the sound here is horrible compared to Jordan Peterson's sound because the mics
Why
are
are you reading the Bible in front of
set near the front of the
window
room
of a
with the intent of
Motel
being
6 parking lot?
you're in the space. That's the effect we're trying to give is you are in that space.
What part of the Bible are you reading? What part of the Bible is relaxing?
I just find it all to be relaxing. You know, it brings peace.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Buffalo 66, but
It's just weird. Like somebody's gonna
I'm
walk
not
by
a
and see
fan
you
of
just
this Gallo, the
standing in
person,
the window.
honestly. And he
It's
plays an
just
asshole.
weird.
Which apparently I'm okay
Do you,
at playing an
would you
asshole.
like me to close the blinds? Does it?
Yeah, I'd like you to close the blinds and keep standing there
I made some
staring at the
rather
blinds and reading
weird
the Bible. I mean,
camera
Okay,
choices.
Really?
in
Would
this
you,
video.
do you want me to close the
You can
blinds?
close the blinds if you want to close the blinds. The problem is not the blinds being open or closed. The problem is you standing in front of the blinds, holding the Bible. Like,
I just.
are you a martyr or a
I
way for you
find
to
it-
sin?
It looks like there are
find
like
it relaxing.
lines shaved into my head.
For me personally,
don't know why.
find it relaxing.
Okay,
I've been through a lot, and I like to find some peace.
okay. But
Because
can you find...
with you over here not really giving me much peace, I'm finding
So
some
what we did
peace
was,
here.
we
In
were
front
like,
of the
okay,
window,
we're gonna
reading the Bible.
pause it for a
Okay.
second. What we did is we were like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We both know the kind of background of this and the story. And ideally, what I wanted to do was kind of map out the room, right? Which is, in Motel 6s, they don't even have like the cheap paintings on the walls. They got nothing. And their lights were horrible, right? I had to replace all the lights. The floor lights you see there and the lights on the side of the window, those are lights that I brought. I mean, I brought the lights that are inside them, not the actual fixtures. So I wanted to have the sort of 2 beds and kind of figure out like 3 or 4 spots where we could hang out at different parts of the video.
Someone here...
This beginning, you're not getting
got
a lot
paid.
of, let's see,
Okay, do what you want. Like, it's not my
right
job
here
to relax you. That's not my job.
goes,
It's not your job to relax me. I mean, what
And,
you're doing
you know,
will relax me as a
Buffalo 66 was
byproduct.
filmed on
My
16
point is,
millimeter.
I have no problem with you reading the Bible.
So
I just wish that you wouldn't
don't love what YouTube does
make
with
some
noise.
kind of weird
The way
vignette
it compresses
skit.
it, it just ends up looking like
What do you
macro
mean- What do you
blocking.
mean skit? Like,
Um,
I'm
but
just,
the
I'm
original
standing
video, for what it's
here
worth, the
trying
original
to
video,
relax,
it looks more like
reading
grain.
some passages from the Bible.
It seems posed. It seems...
So yeah, this is all just sort of like, we
Seems
knew
like
the
you
sort of
want
general idea
somebody to
of what we're
notice you
doing,
standing
and it
there.
was sort of, all right, go ahead
What you want?
I
Start
don't, there's
arguing.
nobody out here.
Okay, do what you want.
There's nobody.
Yeah,
shot
great.
4K,
Find some
peace
cropped
from-
in,
Okay, so if you want,
in order to
if
be
you
able
want
to do
the
a bunch
blinds
of
closed, you can close
fake
them yourself.
camera motion.
But I
I
personally
really
like the,
wish,
you know, it's
that
relaxing.
I had
It's
had
light,
like
there's
2 or
not
3
many
cameras
people
running.
walking by.
But
So
I didn't.
I will put that
When
away
you say
because it
hard
seems
to
bother
hear me,
you.
The
do
Bible,
you mean like
I don't know why you're
not nice
fixating
or,
on that. Like you reading
or
the Bible does
volume
not
wise?
bother me.
Let me turn down the
You read the
video
Bible all you
volume.
want.
There we go. I'm much
Apparently,
louder than the
it-
video
it
novel.
seems- It seems to novel. It seems to
Um,
bother you. But I was.
Yeah, so the color
you know,
scheme is
minding my own
inspired by
business,
Buffalo 66.
reading.
The graininess,
You're focusing on the wrong part.
Is-
That's all I'm saying.
Buffalo 66. And the premises. But then the whole thing is kind of just
Do what you want.
improvised. This is the kind of thing I
That's
enjoy
very
doing.
annoying.
Ooh, I looked at the
You
camera.
flicking.
Not supposed to do that.
Recording?
So
What the?
you could sit there.
So
Do
yeah,
not
so I had
come
kind
any
of
closer to
worked
this. Do
out
not
like you
touch
know,
me.
there's
Do not
4 or
come
5 spots
any
we could
nearer
be
to
at,
me
Okay,
than you
you-
just did.
and
You
one camera
are
shot was covering
very
them all. And there was
Paranoid
where I'm
right now.
sitting
You know
now, where
what?
she's
I'm
sitting
very
now,
paranoid because
the
you're
corner of the
recording.
bed
You
behind,
are recording.
near the
You're not
pillow
giving
of the
me
bed
a moment
behind,
to explain.
and then in front of the
If you give me a
window
moment to explain, I
behind.
can
So there was
explain.
actually, I had
Weird.
It's weird.
a bunch of lights
Do-
just off
Do you
scene,
want to give me a moment to explain, or do you want
trying
to keep
to
saying
fill
it's
in those
weird?
spots, but obviously, in
Or
the
do you
back,
want to? You want to keep
it's still a lot.
bouncing
I
on the bed,
stated-
make it sound like, yeah.
I stated
You should be
over.
listening to my
Yeah.
voice.
While
Yeah,
I'm
so like it was very clear, like, okay, like
I'm
now I can
hungry.
go sit here. And this is, I want to do this so that we could have like motion without breaking the shot. It's just one long take.
I need a little nicotine.
Oh, that's a good idea. Could
There
you
were
pass me my
no-
vape, please?
No cuts. And actually we did this in two tries. One try we got about 10 minutes in and I called it.
It's like a whistle.
And then the next try
Careful.
actually did
not
it.
to touch me.
Believe me.
Bible and somebody seeing me, but yet
You see how I'm handing it to you?
So then, yeah, you can see
It's
sort
not
of
pointed at you.
the different
issues
areas that we're allowed to be.
of being
That's not
close,
that, like that's
it
not a
might
great area
be
for me to
a
be.
problem
My face is not
for
being
your
lit
parents.
well.
This is
in that
why.
area. Anyway, the video
This
is
is why we're here.
live now. That video is live now. Yeah, as of 8 p.m. Let me be sure about that. Did I do it right? Scheduling a video. Yeah, it's live now. It's also live on ASMR Creations channel. I would definitely highly recommend checking out on her channel instead of mine. You are right. Like it's like conflict with no resolution. So anyway, yeah, that is what I did this past weekend, and it's probably the most fun I've had making a video since the Dream Team, and in large part it was because of the way that we decided. Yeah, this is stupid, isn't it, Pivy? That was stupid of me. No, I mean, I don't think that's the reason there's only 13 viewers here. But, yeah, so the video is probably the one that I've enjoyed doing the most in years, because, you know, I had someone who, in my opinion, is a very good improviser, right? And was down to like just try stupid shit, like stupid. I mean, ideas that are stupid to some, I like them, and had like, you know, a strong point of view on what they wanted as well, and was able to just kind of run with it. I got pulled. We got pulled over. By a police officer. Sucks. And my privilege was on such full display. I had left my wallet at the hotel room. I did not have my registration on me. So it's midnight or something. No, it's not midnight yet. It's like 11 something. And we're going to, you know, the convenience store. and I don't have my license and I don't have my registration, and I get pulled over for I wasn't sure where to pull in. I didn't know the area. Like we met like halfway. We lived, maybe an hour and a half away from each other. And I did a collab with ASMR Creations once before for the Phantom Thread. So yeah, got pulled over because I wasn't sure where to turn in. So I guess I was making like kind of jerky driving motions that maybe I was suspected that I was, a Saturday night kind of late. Maybe the thought was that I had been drinking or something. I don't know. He said he pulled me over because I was driving a little erratically. I didn't have my driver's license. I didn't have my registration. He goes back to his car for about 5 minutes, and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a big ticket. And then he comes back and he says, in the future, it's a good idea to have your driver's license on you and your registration. And I said, yeah, I know that. I just forgot. And he was like, have a good night. Didn't make me do a breathalyzer. Did not give me a ticket for driving without a license. I almost, like I said to him, you're not going to give me a ticket? And he said, no. I almost went like, I didn't almost do this, but in my head, I was kind of thinking, I want to talk to your CO, because like, there's no way I should have gotten out of that situation without a ticket. Really, like, I don't know what, when he went and looked me up, I don't know what he saw there, but I don't know. It felt weird. I was grateful, but I felt odd about it, I suppose. Because nothing. Somebody just knocked on my door. Did you all hear that? Somebody just knocked on my door. Hold on a second. I'm going to go see who's at the door. I'll be right back. This is not like a fake out. Genuinely, someone just knocked on my door and I don't know who it is. It's a delivery. Don't worry. No human contact. No human contact needed. Simply a delivery. That would be great. He just showed up. Oh, I forgot to give you this. I know what this is, and I want to open it here and now, because I'm excited by it. I was hoping this was going to come before the stream. Oh, there's something else I wanted to show you all here. Let me just show you real quick. I'm experimenting with this. This is, not ready for prime time yet. But okay, come on over. Here we go. Right there. There. Good. Okay. All right, let me put the box down. Show you all this first. I think it's 1, Look at that. Shows that thing on my nose. It's been there for like a week now. So what are you looking at right now? You're looking at a camera mounted on a gimbal with a LiDAR rangefinder on top of it that is actually not controlling the focus right now, but controls the focus. But more importantly than controlling the focus, controls this. I think I showed this a little bit. I showed this a little bit last week, but I'd like for a moment, take a moment and imagine. I have my GH5 mounted here, so the picture quality is not great. I should have mounted one of the Blackmagics to it. But imagine, for instance, right, the potential had I had this up and running, doing a shot like the one that was in the video before, sort of dynamically trying. I mean, I can do anything here. Can I stand up? I think I can. Yeah, I can stand up. I can sit down. It does come most of the way back. Like I said, it's not doing the focusing right now, but and I don't know if you like the key part of this, right? A very important part of this, completely silent. So in doing an ASMR video where I'm in an area that, I don't care if you see all around, I could just kind of like walk around you. Oh, don't go too far. I'm still kind of treating it with kid gloves. I'm not 100% sure, but the tracking is just, I think it's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Quite amazing. And the possibilities that it opens up for filming yourself, I think those are phenomenal as well. So you got first peek of it here. Well, this really does not do my skin any favors, does it? Makes everything pop out. I have a LUT being applied that's based on the flat profiles of the Blackmagics and the profile that you see on the GH5 is more of like a kind of a standard non-flat profile, so it's doing way too much. Blackmagics have pretty unique colors. It's hard to match them with other things, but anyway. And yeah, I think I did show you all this last time, right? But I don't know that I had the LiDAR module attached and or working. So yeah, like at this point, you can see it's showing me. It's got a little readout here. Let's see if I can hold it far enough away that I can then lock onto me. Is it locked onto me? Yep. And now it just will. Wherever I go, it will fall. Actually, I think I'm too close. But pretty cool, I think. I'm quite happy with it. And I'm able to get like some good tracking shots with it. You can see the LiDAR on top. I'm a fan. I'll probably show you this like every week in the next several weeks because of how much I like it. Turn you off. Okay. I know you all want to know what's in the box. I bet you know what's in the box. You could probably guess what's in the box. Scott, don't Yep. A pair of aperture tube lights. I've turned into like such an aperture fanboy. It is pretty sad. But these are actually really exciting because of what they can do and their ability to integrate with the aperture ecosystem, which I've become like a big fan of. I already have, the little MC lights. Those were used in that Buffalo 66 video to replace the light bulbs in the hotel room. The main light lighting me right now, this key light over here, is an aperture. The spotlight mount I did a black phone video that was sort of casting, making it look like there was light coming through a basement window. That is an aperture light. The aperture spotlight modifier on one of their lights. And you can control them all from one. Ooh, I almost just cut my finger really bad. You can control them all from one app. They're also really good at just giving you neat looking. Okay, so this is locked. This is locked. So I've actually used these once before, but they were not mine. And you may be like, well, what's the big deal? It's like a short little thing. No. I mean, there's a lot you can do with this thing. It has, let's see if it comes charged. It does come charged. Let's throw it back there for the moment. There's 16 pixels in that thing. I think 16. 16 pixels of light in that short little tube. Watch this. Hopefully this will work. Yeah, all the fixtures I have, well, not all of them, let's see. Actually, none of them seem to be responding at the moment. That's not good. New fixture. This is very exciting, I know. You're all very excited. DMX settings. CRMX settings. Bluetooth reset. Reset it. Yes, that's the one. Set it up. What a great hair light. Great hair light. Great hair light. Pairing was successful. And I see it right here. Now let's see, I'm not sure if it lets you do like the pixel effects through the app. Doesn't look like it does. Which is kind of weird. I'm surprised. Doesn't. There's some TV effects. And some pulsing, but there's not No, the pixel effects are coming from there. I'm guessing that's going to be an update. I want to do the interesting stuff. Yeah, the interesting stuff is stuff like this. Pixel effects. Let's do a 2-pixel chase. Ooh, 2 pixels chasing each other. You can make it go 2-way. Change the color of either one of the pixels. So let's make this a police. Speaking of police lights. I'm not sure which. Actually, it looks like there's 3 pixels here. I want a blue and then a red. Okay. Oh, I see what it's doing here. Okay, it's got your background intensity as well. So we don't want that. We want that down to 0 because we just want to see the color moving. And let's turn the pixel intensity down too because it's just sort of, whoops, it's just too bright. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. That's it. That's it. That's this live stream has been a showcase of gimbal, LiDAR active tracking, and small magnetic tube lights. All the things that you could do with that, like so many. Like my head is spinning right now, just sort of thinking all the different ways I could utilize that light. I can have it, obviously you can stack them, you can kind of put them together. Q has a point. That is a point, Q. I'm not going to lie. But the amount of control cannot be matched with a lava lamp. But you could make it look like a lava lamp. The key is in the versatility, right? You could have it facing backwards here. And you just have, look at, the amazing. Actually, I don't really know what to do with that. That doesn't really look like a police car, but it is very interesting what it's doing to the speculars on that little lantern there. I think they're cool. And next week, if you stick around, you'll be like, the lighting looks so much better. And I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. Except you will be able to put your finger on it because I just told you. And it came with. This is the other thing I like about aperture lights. Like they don't skimp when it comes to, like it actually came with one of these little stands. I mean, I have a million of them now. I have so many of these like small little stands. I don't know what to do with it. If anybody wants a stand like this, simply pay shipping and handling, and I'll be happy to send it to you. But it's also got a grid. Looks pretty simple, but super useful, right? So you don't have to have the light going everywhere. You can direct it. And the packaging is great. Like the way that Aperture does packaging is one of the things that I love about them, right? Like they have for the smaller ones. Come out. For the MCs, they come in this little self-contained charging briefcase kind of thing. So I took this to the hotel for that video, right? And like 2 other lights, and that was it. And I could just break this out. And you are all familiar with these lights, whether you know it or not, because I usually have them like up here or something. Doing something with my hair. They're essentially like the tube lights, except you can't do, well, the shape's a little different. Shape's a little different, but they can all be controlled the same way. And they're all just, bummer. Bam, there. Every YouTuber, when they experiment in the world of colored lights, and I'm including myself, they will do this. Maybe bring it a little bit forward. Your classic cold hot. Look, it's cyberpunk. Your classic cold hot underlight. Those don't work with me so well because my nose is so big. Classic cold hot over the head. That works better. Look, this message is really for Aperture. Send me this shit. I'm having to pay for all of the Aperture lights that I have. And I know like half of y'all are buying Aperture lights. At least I know you're not going to own up to it, but, oh, did I do this? Wait a second. Wait, did I show, what is it? Did the audio drop out? Sorry, I was not paying attention to, oh, you guys are having like a totally different conversation. That's fine. Am I right? Could you see my address on the box? I don't know if that's what that was. That's funny. Doxycycline that's a good antibiotic. Good all-purpose antibiotic. It'll take care of your Lyme disease while it's killing whatever else. No, I love my nose. I mean, well, I don't love I like my nose. I have no problem with my nose. It's big. It's fun. Good night, Jeff. Thank you for hanging out. Jesk. So, speaking of Jesk, I've also been watching the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows, and I don't like it. Oh, right. Well, I would do it from a P.O. box. Do it from a... Yeah, there are a lot of situations where doxycycline will rock and clears up your skin real good. For 2 weeks. So I've been watching the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows, and so much about it has changed that I almost feel like I meant to actually research this because I'm just kind of talking out of my ass here. But I was curious if the showrunner had changed or like some other major shift has happened because everything about it is different. One, like the end of season 3 ended with this big cliffhanger of, and without giving away spoilers, like a bunch of different things happening that would potentially put them in this totally different situation in the beginning of season 4, something that we were not used to. And at the end of season 3, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'm wondering what they're going to do with this. And they literally pulled like the fucking worst shit you can pull in that situation, which is oh, we decided not to do that. Like without giving it away, right? Like they are saying that something is going to happen, something starts to happen, end of season. Season 4 starts. Oh, what about that stuff that happened at the end of season 3? Oh, yes, everybody changed their mind, and we decided to just kind of go back to the way things were. And yet, like, it's so markedly different. It's gonna be. I'm gonna sound like a fucking stupid fucking hypocrite when I say this, but someone needs to like slap their wrist and say, you don't need every color LED light in every scene. That's YouTubers' jobs. That's not professional DP jobs. Like, if I was a professional DP, I should have one cove light that is just like a nice, maybe tungsten going to a tungsten daylight kind of mix. So I just watched the newest episode today. That's the first episode of the series that I've liked, with him having his family over. I liked it. But more because I liked the Laszlo-Nandor dynamic. And they're just like Laszlo and Nandor are such great characters. Guillermo's good too. Nadja's the weakest. I don't know. I just for the way she speaks, like, I love Nadja, but I don't like this whole nightclub thing. I don't like that premise. And there's something going on with the way that the show is lit and shot that is different than the other seasons. And there's like too much dark, like super dark shadows with just like one prop lit up in bright blue and the prop next to it lit up in bright green, and their faces are magenta, purple, like just sort of director of photography. Sorry. Yeah, Baron Afanas. So you get to see Doug Jones sans makeup, which good. Like, Doug Jones is hyper talented, but maybe he likes it this way, but like very few people I would think would recognize him because he's always either like mo-capped or so incredibly covered in makeup in every show that he's in that nobody really knows what he looks like. And finally, Baron Afanas is played by Doug Jones, and there is an episode where you actually get to see him, and he looks pretty much like Doug Jones. I don't know. I really liked The Boys. Like, I watched The Boys between 3 and 4, and or maybe I'm just getting tired of it. But it just felt weird and off to me. But nobody else seems to think so. Like, all the reviews are like, season 4 is glorious and amazing. They're really firing on all cylinders. And I kind of felt like there were some valves tapping. If we want to slip into car talk. Don't drive like my brother. And don't drive like my brother. Oh, that just made me sad. Thinking about car talk. Used to listen to car talk all the time. Loved it. Know nothing about cars. Just liked the dynamic between the car talk brothers. And one of them died. Thanks for bringing. I blame. I guess I blame Q for that. You just got into What We Do in the Shadows. You have a good 3 seasons to look forward to. And then, an okay season 4. Is this just because you're always working? Yeah, I agree. I loved that. I really enjoyed that. Um, I I don't know. I mean, so I had the advantage of watching The Boys start to finish while I had COVID. So maybe I was in sort of a um, maybe I was more receptive to enjoy something that was distracting me from what was an absolute nightmare. Um, I agree with this, Nico. Like, I have trouble with everything but ASMR. Like, I have trouble now watching anything on normal speed. It feels to me like I'm like, oh my God, really? Do people really talk this slow? And I know I talk super slow, right? And that's fine. But yeah, I always want to put everyone in at least 1.75. And if it's an audiobook, it depends on who's narrating it. It also depends if it's a novel or if it's, man, I was listening to The Power Broker by Robert Caro, and 63 hours, 62 hours. I'm not listening to that on normal speed. Not going to happen. Hey, Warp Raven. It's good to see you. Oh, you're just not a TV watcher. Butterfly composer. I mean, I get that. Like, maybe it depends what it is that you're watching also. And if you're purposely like watching to get caught up or something. But I guess I could see where, like, I would think that like directors and showrunners would have a conniption fit. Like, auteurs would be outraged. They would refuse to allow platforms to carry their movies if you allowed people to double time through them or presented them in anything less than the original 2.35 to 1 ratio. But think of how great the fight scenes would be. They already do that anyway, right? Like, they shoot at a high shutter speed and then do speed ups in particular areas to make it look like things are more exciting than they actually are. Yeah, I watch. I mean, I think I fool myself into thinking that I watch stuff in the hopes of being inspired. I call it productive consumption, but really it's just distract me, distract me, distract me. Life is misery. Distract me from it from a while. And if you're successful at that, like, I want to slow it down. Or watch it again and again, again and again. Did you watch the Peter Jackson one, or did you watch the Ralph Bakshi one? Perhaps you should watch the Ralph Bakshi one. See some really interesting early examples of rotoscoping. I think there's some racism in that. I mean, there's some racism in The Hobbit in general, but I think the Bakshi one exacerbated it. But it's the one I watched when I was a kid. I watched it as a child. It helped define what those characters look like to me, apparently. And the music. I loved the music. And I loved the landscapes. I was watching Charlie Brown specials and Bakshi versions of Tolkien. I was amazed. I might have talked about this already, but I had, like, sort of in one of our work meetings, like, people were talking about their favorite movies. I was amazed the percentage of people who listed one of the Lord of the Rings movies as their favorite movie of all time. I mean, how can that be anybody's? I can understand liking it and like it having a special place in your heart. Maybe it's like one of those cases, or yeah, this is not like what you think the best movie is, but it is the movie that if you had to watch it over and over again, you would watch this one over and over again. Maybe that's it. Maybe. I saw other movies too. I watched other movies this week. Watched a terrible movie. Terrible movie. My God, I always forget his name. Sandra Bullock and Magic Mike, Channing Tatum. I don't know what it's called. I don't care what it was called. I was looking for cotton candy, popcorn trash, and that's absolutely what it was. I remember almost nothing about that movie, except that as I was watching it, I was like, they just took the script from Romancing the Stone and took out everything about it. And then I was having this conversation with myself while I was watching the movie. They took the script from Romancing the Stone. They took out everything clever or interesting about it. They shot it in a way that, like, and again, this is like me, this is a self-report in a way, because it's like I'm watching all of these Netflix movies, Amazon movies, and they all look lit exactly the same way. A strong rim light just behind the hair, lots of colored light. The color is always perfect. There's no such thing as like an area of shadow. There's anywhere the actor goes or actors go, as long as it's, what if you're in a cave or something, obviously, but everything is like lit perfectly. Like sometimes, you have somebody walk somewhere and it's just like there's no light there, or there's not 5 lights pointed there. Okay, the amount of like unnatural lighting, honestly, it's weird. It has the opposite effect to me of what I think it's supposed to have. It makes it feel cheap to me. When I see the same blue light on the side, orange light on the hair, pulsing light in the background, when I see that same setup everywhere, like everybody's just taking this, and the LED technology is great, but it is making everything look uniform. Like if you're gonna go color crazy, do Euphoria. That's great. That was really well shot. But this movie, man, it was like it reminds me of video game lighting. Like everything looks like video game lighting. Back in when video game lights cost very little, some rendering time, right? But they cost very little. You can generally kind of put them wherever you want. And so in video games, a lot of times you would see like perfect lighting everywhere, and movies didn't have that kind of budget because lights used to be hot and expensive, and now they're cheap and cold, and you can put magnets on them, and you can have them everywhere. Gaffers are rejoicing around the world, but movies, imagine Barry Lyndon being made today. Imagine that. Like, imagine a director saying, I want to shoot this movie using only natural light. So for those of you who don't know the Barry Lyndon story, right, it was directed by Stanley Kubrick, who is completely brilliant. It is a movie that tells the story of an imposter trying to get into an upper class family, played by Ryan. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his name because Ryan O'Neal. It's funny because I was thinking of Tatum O'Neal because I was thinking of Channing Tatum, and then I was like, wait a minute, Tatum, it can't be Tatum O'Neal. It's got to be Ryan O'Neal. Okay, getting all my maybe as you get older, maybe memory issues are just caused because you have too many names rolling around in your head, and then you get analysis paralysis. Probably not. I'm worried about that all the time. Anytime I forget a name. Like, I have the biggest problem remembering Baskets, the clown's name, Zach Galifianakis' pathos-filled and wonderful if it weren't for the fact that Louis C.K. was, I think, very involved in the production of it. But it's a great show. And his name is Baskets the Clown. And I can never remember that his name is Baskets. And every time that happens, it makes me question my mental acuity. Anyway, Barry Lyndon, the idea behind it was that Stanley Kubrick was like, well, I want to shoot this using only natural light. Right? So in order to get that, in order to have that be a reality, there are a few crazy things that happened. One was he had custom lens housings made for NASA lenses used for telescope imaging. So he was able to get these lenses that at the time were, nobody could afford. Even film studios could afford them. They were f.95. Like, so for comparison, right, the lens that I have on this is a Voigtlander f.95. Or is it 0.9? No, it's 0.95. This is an f.95 lens here. It was about $700. The 0.95 lenses back in the day were $100,000. Crazy. So he wanted to use all natural light. He did that by having like special lenses crafted. I think they were on Panaflex, Panavision. I don't recall exactly. He doubled the ISO of the film that he was using, so he pushed the ISO of the film he was using. And he used triple wick candles. So every candle that you see in Barry Lyndon, and there are hundreds, like if imagine candles were LED lights, then Barry Lyndon would be the equivalent of like Euphoria. Every one of those candles had 3 wicks in order to get more lux out of what they had. And it looks absolutely amazing. It just looks beautiful and perfect. Now, not like now through the lens of, oh, for the time it looks good. No, it looks amazing. Like if you could get that kind of look now, you'd be set. I look at like indie films like Blue Ruin, a bunch of others, right, where they're going for that look. It seems like they're going for like this naturalistic look. And, you can get, if you were shooting ISO 800, I don't know what, I think he might have been shooting 400 or 800. That was super high. Now you have these, the Sony mirrorlesses that can go up to 100,000 ISO and usable at like 32,000 or 16,000. Crazy. You need much less light now. We're living in an age of night vision. But Barry Lyndon, good movie. If there's a Stanley Kubrick movie that exists that you have not seen, go see it, or try to see it. Paths of Glory, very good. Like, I know people who are Stanley Kubrick fans, and they kind of start. They might start with 2001, or they might, and so it's like 2001, with Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, Eyes Wide Shut. Go back, go Paths of Glory. There are others whose names I'm forgetting right now. Did I say Paths of Glory? Barry Lyndon. His black and white movies are great too. Yeah, I realize I say something like that and it sounds crappy. However, I view it as an investment, right? Like there is something to be said for lenses and taking pretty good care of lenses. You can sell them pretty much for what you buy them for. There's a little private stream tonight. I did see The Night Manager. Right, that's the one with Hugh Laurie and Hiddleston, right? Was it Tom Hiddleston and Hugh Laurie? I know it was Hugh Laurie. But Hugh Laurie was not supposed to be likable, was he? It was a long time ago. You fell asleep on Le Sofa. Yes, this does, prepare yourself for that to happen more and more often. You want to be careful when and how you fall asleep. Oh, shit. Okay. Lucky. That was that close. That was close. What? Eraserhead? I like Eraserhead. It's David Lynch, though. Yeah, so if Hugh Laurie was the bad guy, then the good guy was Tom Hiddleston. I'm not sure good guys. I don't remember very much about it. I guess that kind of speaks as to like its lack of staying power, I suppose. I just remembered it was like, oh, House is in it. I'll watch it. Are you guys talking about Eraserhead? Why are people saying Eraserhead? And why are we talking? We're talking about the David Lynch movie, Eraserhead. Or is it Eraserhead? Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. No way I'm wrong. Well, it's showing up as Eraserhead. Maybe Eraserhead is outside of the U.S. Yeah, if there's any David Lynch movie that you haven't seen, it's always good to see that. David Lynch is fantastic at making people feel uncomfortable. Somebody, I think, in chat was talking to me about Deadly Premonition. And I did go back and try to I tried to play it and I just couldn't. It's just too bad. I finally got through Infinite again and started BioShock 2 again. I don't think I'm going to finish BioShock 2. There's just nothing, I know it. I got a little ways into it and it's like, yeah, I remember this. It's not really that much for me to learn. Playing it again, I don't really see it as being worth the time investment a second time. Hey, Sulky. I haven't watched it. I'm afraid to watch it. I am interested in chat's opinion on it because, I am a fan. And the reviews that I've seen, although I don't really want to read much of them, but the reviews that I've seen are not great. Or more, they're all over the place. But the things that the reviews are saying that are negative are sort of the things that I suppose I was worried about. And I'm also worried about, I think I might have talked about this last week, I'm worried about it supplanting the vision I have of Sandman in my head with something more plebeian. I'm sure I'll watch it. I'm sure I will. Yeah, I just started playing now Layers of Fear. A game called Layers of Fear. And really like what I'm into at the moment is what I can play on the Switch. It seems to be the console that I have the most time available for because of its the ability to kind of pick it up anywhere. And I'm not that far into Layers of Fear. It's gotten a lot of really good reviews, but so far it hasn't really hit it for me. I'm gonna give it more time. Oh, was that was Ms.? Was that Ms.? I guess it must have been. Yes. Q, you're familiar with Layers of Fear? Is it a good film? Is it good? Can you all do that? Actually, it looks like the same thing, but it's not. Got a bit of a double joint there. Sounds like a heartbeat. Man, that's so scary to think about. Like your heart has to do that forever until you die. Knock on wood. I'm going to be 50 in 1 month and 2 days. I will be half a century old. Cheers. Now, here's what's weird is I don't like it at first. And then I like it after a minute. So I have to be like drinking it actively and in the midst of drinking it to like it. And then if I step away from it or perhaps cleanse my palate, 50 years of drinking Coca-Cola. I think I had my first Coke at like 2 years old. And it's very interesting. My son, I remember the first time he tried Coke, he loved it. He hates it now. Won't touch it. And I'm not pushing him in that direction. Not trying to get him to be drinking sugary drinks. But I'm a little disappointed. A little bit. Yeah, this doesn't make me more anxious. Thanks, Butterfly Composer. I take a beta blocker, so I sometimes get that fight or flight reflex without I get it mentally. I think I know what you're talking about here because I get it mentally, although it's pharmacologically induced in me, not biologically. I get the fight or flight reflex, but my heart rate does not speed up accordingly, and it feels strange. Because the beta blocker just kind of sits there and is like, nah, you're going to stick around. You're going to stay at 70 beats a minute. So what happens when you turn 50? Dude, the puppet maker who had the brain tumor, what was I just talking about? 34. It doesn't seem fair. Like when we talk about sort of equity and equality, right, of opportunity, but not just opportunity. Like it's like we don't quite want equality of outcome, but we want equality of opportunity, and we really want to strive for an unenforced equality of outcome, right? One of the areas that just seems so fucking unfair is that some people live to be 100 and some people die before they hit 40. And it seems like I guess if you don't care that much about human life, no, this person is suffering. Like it's all about the minimizing of suffering, right? So like I'm always sort of arguing with myself about this, because you can't suffer if you're not alive, right? And happiness is not on like a cosmic scale, like suffering and happiness. Like if you get equal parts happiness and equal parts suffering, in my own personal philosophy, those scales do not balance. Suffering is far worse than happiness is good. In fact, my personal philosophy is that happiness is an absence of suffering. The ability to view the world through an absence of suffering is joy. Wait, you're talking about Sandman? What do you mean season 3? Oh, wait, you're talking about somebody else. This is a left ventricular something or another, atrial something. Sure. Well, yes, my scales don't balance. I'm talking about my personal scales. Why should you be don't be quiet? Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah. I'm almost double a lot of people's ages. And, there's almost nobody who is double my age. So, and it does not, here's what does not make me feel better is you don't look 50, right? I get that. I get you don't look 50. Although I am starting to see, really see, starting to see some of that shit raise up on its hind legs and kick me in the face. But that doesn't make me feel any better because it doesn't matter how you look. You're still going to die. I'm a determinist, so I believe that, whatever my allotment is on this earth, every day is one fewer of those. And I try not to think of things in a linear way like that, but ultimately that is all kind of prevaricating, trying to make yourself feel better through these sort of philosophical boondoggles that I think when the time comes amount to absolutely nothing. Doesn't make me feel better to not look 50, if indeed I don't look 50. Thank you, Just for Men. It doesn't make me feel better to know that I didn't exist for millions, billions of years prior to my birth. It doesn't make me feel better to know that you all will join me in death from a cosmic perspective, a blink of an eye after I go. It doesn't make me feel any better. None of that makes me feel any better. Nothing makes me feel any better. Oh my God. Well, because that's like saying, why are you reading a story if it's already written down? If the story doesn't get to be written as you're reading it, then why read the story? I still want to know how it ends. No idea what you're talking about here, Nick. We're all gonna, yeah, but that doesn't make me feel better. Because there is no there. I apologize for this, butterfly composer. I'm hoping that it is nothing, right? No, I'm not. I'm not talking about. I don't. The number just makes me think. The same thing when I turned 30. The same thing when I turned 10. When I turned 10, that's my first memory of being hit with existential dread, because I was in double digits and I knew I would never reach triple digits, and I knew that I would never be single digits again. And I remember having an anxiety attack over that. I remember so distinctly going into a doctor's office when I was 18, scared about something, thinking that I was dying, thinking there was something going on, and the doctor made a joke to me about, when he looked at my age and he was like, well, you are 18, so you're starting to get up there, right? And he was like 60 probably, right? So for him it was a joke, and he said it as a joke, as in like, you're so young, you don't need to worry about this shit. But I didn't take it as a joke. Like, that's not what I felt from that. What I thought was, yeah, I'm about to be 20. Like, that's 20 years I shan't get back. And now when I think back on my memories, excuse me, when I think back on like my memories and things that, there's one thing when like the things you liked when you were young start to age out, right? But now it's like people who I thought, people 2 or 3 sort of cultural generations away from me are already getting old, right? They're in that basket of the over 30s. You get that basket of the over 30s, and it's sort of like you cease to be very relevant. And so when I can look back 20 years and be like, I felt old 20 years ago, it doesn't help. It doesn't matter though, right? It doesn't matter. I'm venting and complaining, and who wants to hear this? Yeah, and he's going to be president for another 6 years. I'm more interested in Hunter Biden. Let's get Hunter Biden to run for president. That's someone I could get behind. Like way behind. Way behind. But I still want to see what he does. But I want to be way behind him. Salky, when you were 7, you didn't sleep for 2 days because you realized that you would die one day. Yeah. That sounds about right. That's pretty young to be thinking about that. I see my son going through like some of those things now. He doesn't seem too concerned, right? But there's time. He also doesn't like Coke, so what the hell's wrong with him? Imagine a Joe Hunter ticket. The Bidens. I mean, is the problem that like reality TV is not as good as it was? And so we've had to like recreate it as reality instead? Like we need that entertainment, and since it's not being provided for us in the same way that it was 15 or 20 years ago, we now have to just sort of cast these people in real life roles. It's easy to think this is a trope, right? Like the person who doesn't take care of themselves and doesn't exercise and does all this shit lives forever, or lives for a very, very, very long time. Meanwhile, the person who jogs every day and has never touched a cigarette or red meat in their life keels over at 38 from cardiomegaly, an enlarged heart. I mean, I don't really think Trump. Well, Trump's dad lived to be really old, so I don't. He's got access to all the youngins' platelets. Think of how many people, if he needed an organ transplant, how many people would just be honored to give up a kidney, to know that like their kidney was going to be in Donald Trump. And so many people would just be like ecstatic at that thought. He may not even need a kidney transplant. And maybe like, Mr. Trump, maybe do you want it like, you've got all these like 25-year-old Magites who want to donate their organs to you. You don't really need them replaced, but do you want like some 25-year-old organs? The redundant ones, of course. I would be so reassured. Blue Regen, by the way, nice to meet you. I don't think I've spoken to you before. But I would be so reassured simply by the existence of a cosmic entity that I wouldn't care if they were playing a joke on us. Good night, Warp Raven. Well, yeah, I think that is probably right. Yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, it's not really fair. Like, there's considerable age gap, and whatever you do to your body, like telomeres are still a thing, right? That's what's happening with the Queen right now, right? And the Queen has long been embalmed for months at this point. Oh, welcome. Welcome, Blue. It is bizarre. I'm thinking, like, so much has to change in the next 3 or 4 years. Did you see about Anne Heche? Like, that's terrible. I mean, apparently she was, and I realize, like, with burns and brain injuries, like, you can have these moments of lucidity, but I read that she was speaking when they took her out of the car, that she was conscious and lucid, and then went into a coma, I guess, because her brain enlarged, or I don't know exactly what it was, but really scary. And I also, obviously, well, not obviously, but apparently some intoxicants involved, but she was probably not a very happy person. Who knows? Life is strange. Life is precious in God, in the Bible. Yeah, you got the dark Brandon meme, right? Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Right here, I mean, the Canadians love her. Well, this is a predominance of the Western world kind of thing. Right. Everybody And I mean, who is everybody, right? Like, who controls, like, or rather, yeah, who is behind the majority of news outlets, who has the ability to kind of shove their perspective on the rest of the world is generally the West. And when we're talking about the West, we mean the UK and the US, North America. KDA makes a good point. She's the Queen of Queens. That'd be a great sitcom. Could probably get Paul Blart to come on for an episode or two. Well, there are also other United States. Are there other United States? Maybe not. Sweden is an interesting social experiment, just sort of generally. You have a lot of guns, but not a lot of violence. But you do have a lot of racism, don't you? It's just like it doesn't really have the avenue to express itself. I guess xenophobia would be more accurate. It doesn't have the ability to really express itself because almost everybody in Sweden is Swedish. I guess by definition, that's a bit of a tautology. Oh, that's a shame because I think they're sadly neglected and often ignored. A far second to Belgium when going abroad. Their mountains so lofty, their treetops so tall. Finland has it all. They're so near to Russia. They're so far from Japan. Quite a long way from Cairo. Lots of miles from Vietnam. I can't remember the other verses. Monty Python song. All right. I'm going to go play with my tube lights. You can take that however you would like. Please, if you'd like, stop by ASMR Creations' channel to check out the video if you want. And we'll talk to you all next week if you're around. If not, I will talk to myself. Either way, I'm going to have fun before I die. Good night.